get the angle you're going for, but saying beauty is the only reason is still a bit too one-sided, because even though beauty is powerful, what makes it interesting is how it actually affects everything else around it. And when you look at Pearl Watts, it's not just about having a fine face, it's about how that beauty translates on screen, how it carries emotion, how it pulls attention without trying too hard, how it makes people stop scrolling, stop talking, and actually pay attention. And that alone already sets a different tone in any movie she appears in, because the audience is already engaged before the story even fully unfolds, and when someone like Maurice Sam is acting opposite her, that engagement becomes something he can feed off, something he can react to, something that makes his own performance feel more alive, more connected, more natural, and you start to see that in the little details, the way his expressions soften when he looks at her, the way his reactions don't feel rushed, the way everything seems to flow like it's not being forced, like it's just happening in real time, and that's where people begin to simplify it and say, okay, maybe it's just because she's beautiful, but the truth is it's how that beauty interacts with the entire scene that makes the difference. And when you really pay attention to Pearl Watts, you'll notice that her beauty has layers. It's not loud or overly dramatic, it's calm, it's soft. It's the kind that slowly grows on you the more you watch her, the kind that doesn't need heavy effort to stand out because it already has that natural glow, and that glow reflects in her acting, in the way she delivers lines, in the way she reacts to emotional moments, in the way she uses silence just as much as dialogue. And for an actor like Maurice Sam, who is known for being expressive and emotionally present, having someone like that in front of him makes everything easier. It removes the need to overact, it removes the pressure of trying to create chemistry from scratch, because the chemistry is already forming on its own through presence, through visual connection, through the way both of them naturally respond to each other. And this is where the idea of beauty being the only reason starts to feel tempting, because when something looks this effortless, people assume it must be something simple, something obvious, something like attraction, because attraction is easy to understand. It's easy to point at and say, yes, that's it, that's the reason, but what's really happening is more layered than that. It's about how Pearl Watts' beauty sets the foundation, how it creates an environment where emotions feel lighter, where interactions feel smoother, where even the smallest gestures feel meaningful. And when Maurice Sam steps into that environment, he doesn't have to force anything, he just flows with it. And that flow is what makes it look like he enjoys acting with her more. Like there's something extra there, something that goes beyond just reading lines and hitting marks, and fans pick up on this immediately, even if they can't explain it properly. They start noticing the difference between his scenes with her and his scenes with other co-stars. They start saying things like, this one feels real, this one feels different, this one looks like it's not acting anymore, and a huge part of that perception comes from how Pearl Watts presents herself on screen. How her beauty blends with her calm energy to create something that feels believable, something that feels natural, something that doesn't look like it's being pushed too hard. And when people see that, they start building stories around it, they start connecting dots, they start assuming that there must be something more happening behind the scenes, when in reality it could just be the perfect combination of visual appeal and compatible acting styles. But still, you can't ignore how strong that visual appeal is, because in a visual medium like film, what people see matters a lot. It shapes their first impression, it influences how they interpret interactions, it affects how believable a relationship looks on screen. And Pearl Watts has that kind of beauty that naturally fits into romantic storytelling, the kind that makes love scenes feel softer, the kind that makes emotional moments feel deeper, the kind that makes simple eye contact feel like it carries meaning. And when Maurice Sam is acting in those moments, he's not just performing, he's reacting to something that already feels real, and that reaction is what the audience picks up on. That's what makes them feel like there's something genuine happening. Even if it's just a well-executed performance. And if you keep watching their movies, you'll start to notice patterns, the way their scenes are often the ones people talk about the most, the way clips of them get shared more often, the way fans replay certain moments again and again, and a big part of that comes from how visually pleasing those moments are, how easy they are to watch, how naturally they pull you in, and that all ties back to Pearl Watts' presence, to the way her beauty enhances everything around her, to the way it makes scenes feel complete without needing too many extras. And when that kind of presence meets Maurice Sam's ability to express emotion, it creates something that feels balanced, something that feels effortless, something that keeps people coming back. And you can imagine, from an actor's perspective, working in that kind of environment is more enjoyable, because you're not struggling to make things believable, You're not forcing reactions, you're not overthinking every movement, you're just allowing things to happen naturally, and that naturally leads to better performances, to more relaxed energy, to a kind of comfort that shows on screen. And that comfort is what people interpret as connection, as chemistry, as something more than just acting. And while it's easy to say it's all because she's beautiful, it's really about how that beauty interacts with everything else, how it supports the storytelling, how it enhances the mood, how it makes every shared moment feel just a little bit more real. And the interesting thing is that this kind of effect doesn't happen with just anyone. It's specific to people who have that kind of presence, that kind of calm confidence, that kind of natural charm that doesn't feel forced. And Pearl Watts clearly has that. It shows in the way she carries herself, in the way she doesn't try too hard to impress but still ends up being the center of attention, in the way her expressions feel genuine rather than rehearsed. And that authenticity is what makes everything click, what makes Maurice Sam's reactions feel real, what makes their scenes stand out, what makes audiences believe in what they're watching. And as the conversation continues online, as fans keep analyzing their interactions, as people keep creating edits and sharing clips, the narrative becomes stronger. The idea that there must be something more grows, and beauty becomes the easiest explanation, the simplest answer to a more complex dynamic, because it's visible, it's obvious, it's something everyone can agree on without needing deeper analysis, and that's why it keeps coming up. Why people keep saying maybe that's the reason he enjoys acting with her, maybe that's why everything looks so smooth, maybe that's why their connection feels so natural.